Since the beginning of time, humans have used fighting to survive and live. You had to fight for food or to settle disputes with your neighbor Grug. And over time, fighting turned into a common occurrence, even after we no longer had to fight animals to eat. You'd see fights at your school or between two hobos fighting over the last baggie of meth, or even your parents every single day for the past 2 years, slowly convincing you that you're the problem and that their eventual divorce is because of you. Fighting even became a form of entertainment for both adults and children, and that's the exact draw of Bakugan. Well, apart from the toy action mixed with card strategy blend that work beautifully for kids to understand and enjoy while keeping the depth that'll keep an older audience engaged that the new gen is unfortunately losing completely. Other than that, fighting is what it's all about. I mean, 66% of the name is about fighting, Bakugan battle brawlers. But I've always wondered, what if you brawled without a Bakugan? Like, just go up to the opponent's Terror Claw and just beat the shit out of it, like one of these and one of these. Realistically, you'd die really hard. So for this experiment, we're going to size down all the Bakugan to be around my height or comparable to it if it's not a humanoid. And just so you guys know what kind of warrior I am, let's go over some of my stats. I am between 5'8" and 6 foot. For whatever reason, when doctors measure my height, they can't agree on how tall I am. I am under 220 pounds. I actually don't know the exact number, but I know it's under 220 or slightly above it. I have a 100% win rate in fights, but that might be because I've only fought once in elementary school. I am mentally ill. I'm able to do a roundhouse kick with a 1 in 4 success rate. I'm able to play the saxophone, which doesn't sound relevant, but if I ever need to charm my opponent with a tune, I'll be able to, no problem. And although I'm not very fluent in most weapons, I am able to effectively use the most deadly weapon of all, the US legal system. So you're saying that the defendant sexually assaulted your client? That is correct, Your Honor, and my client has requested to not talk about it more than necessary, as it's left him very, very traumatized. Right. So does the defendant have anything to dispute that? I'm a fucking eyeball. What am I going to do? Tickle you with my eyelashes? This is some bullshit, man. I'm going to be putting this on a tier list format because those are still popular, right? And before we start, I want to tell you guys to please let me know of some underrated Bakugan in the comments below. I'm telling you instead of asking because when I asked before, no one has given me any Bakugan. So now I'm telling you. You have no choice. Oh, one last rule just for fun. If a Bakugan uses a weapon, I also get to use that weapon. Which won't matter too much, but I think it'll help even it out. And let's test out this rule with our first victim, or first Bakugan that gets to beat my ass. Siege is a fan favorite from the Legacy series, and it's easy to tell why. An armored knight wielding a spear that changes based on the attribute, and he can fly with his cape? That's heckin' badass. But is it a good fighter? Well, I do think that the fact that he has armor will hinder my ability to actually hurt Siege, but remember, I do get Siege's spear that'll change depending on my attribute. So what would my attribute be? Well, I myself am an Aquos brawler, so that would be the obvious answer. But do humans have an attribute? Maybe we're all Subterra because we used rocks to create tools like Cycloid? Hmm. Actually, Aquos makes more sense since we're like mostly water. Which is actually worst case scenario, since the Aqua Spear is extremely unhelpful against the armor. It's a pointed spear, so I'll need a solid hit to pierce the armor. I'd need a more blunt weapon to hurt Siege without needing to destroy the armor first. Unless he is the armor. Is Siege surrounded by flesh, or is he made out of armor? Siege screams, for he does not know. Either way, I think the spear might help a bit, but I do think it's a loss here. I'll give myself some credit though. I used to kick ass with a pool noodle when I was younger, so I think it'll translate to spear wielding. Close loss, but only because Siege is apparently fast as fuck. Here's another classic, Gorham. Gorham is a straight unit. I'm talking he's thick with 7 Cs. And I'm gonna be fair here, Gorham's whole thing is that he's massive compared to every other Bakugan, so I'll make him 8 foot instead of my height. Though I don't think that really matters since attacks bounce right off the tough and hard Gorham. Okay, right away I'm immediately scared that Gorham is going to the fight rock solid. And, attacks literally go right off of him. But luckily I do get his shield in this instance, and if his shield is as hard as Gorham, I think it might go down to a game of attrition at that point. Because he's so large, I imagine he's fairly slow. So as long as I can predict his attacks, I'll be good. His upper leg looks like a weak spot, so if I could keep dodging and chipping away at his leg with the shield, I'd say this one is a win. But of course, if he even so much as tapped me, I'm probably dead, which is why this is a close win. I've watched enough of Captain America and the Avenger movies to know how to use a shield. Let's move on to some Gen 2 Bakugan, shall we? Hydrus is Preyas' replacement as the first Aqua's Guardian in Gen 2, which immediately gives me an advantage as my anger towards Hydrus is immense. He's also a lion, the literal king of the fucking jungle, except he's the Prince of the Sea or something now. For whatever reason, the wiki, where I got all my info for the Bakugan from, has next to nothing about Hydrus except that he's fast. Well, how fast can he really be? Oh fuck. I'm kidding. I'm completely fine. You wanna know why? Well, you remember that topic of who would win in a fight? 1 billion lions versus all Pokemon? 1 billion lions versus like 1,000 Pokemon? That many lions, and they still lose. That's pathetic. I can easily take on one, even if he has water powers. Well, guess what? I drink that shit daily. In fact, I drink multiple bottles of that shit daily. The only chance Hydrus has is the fact I'm allergic to cats, which does get pretty fucking annoying if I'm gonna be honest. I'll say even fight, since it's hard to tell if my allergies will really fuck me up or not. Staying with Gen 2 Bakugan, we're moving on to Demork. He's a humanoid Bakugan, but he has a lot of different moves up his arsenal. He has things like Sonic Abyss and some kind of cursed flames thing, according to the wiki, both of which are a ranged sort of attack, I'm assuming, which can prove pretty difficult for a normal human, unless you want to give me a Glock. But I'm not worried about those attacks. No, 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 no. There's something way, way more dangerous that Demork does. Something that shows just how sinister the darkest faction can be. Demork can and will jump into the air and give you a face full of his troll ass. Truly a devastating attack that no normal human can survive. The wings also suggest that he can fly, so that only gives him more opportunity to land this ass bomb attack. With the range attacks, the flight, and this instant KO move of his, I think this is a complete loss, unfortunately. And just because I still have depression from Gen 2 ending, let's do one more Gen 2 Bakugan really quick. Fangzor is an interesting case, since if we actually make Fangzor the size of an average snake, this would be a complete wash. So let's do the size of the largest snake in the world. Holy shit. Okay, let's do like half of that maybe, so around like a 10-foot snake, which is still fucking absurd. But it'll have to do because I can't be bothered to make this an actual fair fight. However, I don't need to. If you remember from my stats sheet, I have the ability to play the saxophone, and snakes are notorious for being easily charmed by a good tune. And yes, I did learn how to play Snake Charmer in middle school. Thanks for asking. But if the snake has a bit of a more refined taste, or less depending on your definition, I can also play a variety of other songs that I'm sure will do the trick eventually. Of course, some might say that I won't have access to my musical instrument during the fight, which, first of all, lame. Second of all, I don't even really think I need it. I mean, how hard can it be to fight a rope? It has no arms or legs, and all I need to do is watch out for its fangs and the weird chest spikes. Wait. Oh. Oh my god, dude, Spin Master, what the fuck? It doesn't help that its description mentions how it likes to torture its opponent slowly. You're telling me this poisonous snake is a sadistic pervert? Well, I still think I could win fairly easily, but not without being very, very traumatized. Honestly, that's probably a win to Fangzor. Alright, you knew this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna happen. It's time to put me against my childhood friend, Preyas. Motions aside, this might be the most fair fight that we have. Preyas isn't excessively strong, but is very fast. But I do have an advantage in size, since Preyas is really damn small, so he'll most likely be around a bit shorter than 5 foot. He'll be hard to catch for sure, but I'll actually be able to do some damage if I do get my hands on this damn lizard. I'm not actually too sure how much the attribute change will matter here, unless maybe the Subterra change makes him more durable, and the Darkest change makes him have more melanin? But that doesn't matter, because I immediately have a huge advantage against my boy, and really it's an advantage I had against every other Bakugan, but it's extremely prevalent in this fight. I am Preyas' biggest fan, so I know every possible thing there is to know about him. I know his moves, I know his style, and I know his number one weakness: long walks on the beach. Now, I know, that might not make sense, but listen, it's a simple process. All I need to do is ask him out on a date on the beach, and of course he'll say yes. Once there, I'll be sure to lure him into a deep conversation about our interests and hobbies. He'll be surprised about how much we have in common, which of course is forced since I know what he likes, that he forgets about the fight completely. And while the sun is setting, his eyes fixated on the beautiful sky, I whisper in his ear? Does he have ears? Anyway, I whisper, "I'm sorry," in one quick motion. I snap his neck, Hitman style, and push his body into the water, watching it drift away. So yeah, that's how I'd beat Preyas. I will say close win since it'll be hard to hold back the tears, and the emotional damage of killing off a childhood favorite would be enough to cause death via trauma, but I think I could survive. Oh, and if he actually doesn't accept the date and fights, it'll be a bit difficult. From one classic to another, the next Bakugan I'm taking on is the one and only Dragonoid. Legacy Dragonoid, because I feel like I have a better chance against the one who doesn't have arms, until he does. Not like it matters how many limbs he has, he's a dragon. He could be a slab of meat and head on the ground with no mobility whatsoever. It doesn't matter. He's a dragon. Unfortunately, none of my feats have an answer against flying opponents, which is evident by the fact every single flying Bakugan has beat my ass thus far. In his base form, he can only really make a lot of fire, but the thing is, fire is hot. Humans were not made to deal with fire. He's also really damn smart, apparently. He graduated top of his class. He was watching Rick and Morty since he was a hatchling. He's a grandmaster at chess. I'm so fucked. The only weakness he's stated to have is low mobility. He can fucking fly. I will say, it looks like I could mess up his wings fairly easily if I somehow catch him, which I won't. And if that was too much of a chance for me to maybe win against Dragonoid, don't worry. He has plenty of evolutions that could beat my ass even harder. What the fuck? He can infinitely evolve? Alright, dude, we get it. You're the main character. Yeah, that's a hard loss, obviously. So far, all the Bakugan on the list are ones I picked myself because they're either popular or because they would be fun to talk about in this hypothetical scenario. But these next three are randomly selected to add some extra spice. Next is Lionhall. Oh, motherfucker, he has wings. Well, okay, maybe not all hope is lost. He doesn't look as built as some other Bakugan, so I feel like I could maybe take a few blows from him. It does look like he has some armor, which means it'll definitely be difficult to actually hurt him. Ugh, see, this is why I wanted to pick the Bakugan, because I know which ones are interesting. So let's make this interesting and throw in Lionheart's battle gear, Boomix. It is the BFG of Bakugan, a weapon of mass destruction. I cannot imagine any human has a chance of surviving a hit from this thing. In fact, I don't even think a human has a chance of picking it up. It is the longest and heaviest cannon possible, and only the strongest of Bakugan can pick it up. I will say I have been doing some lifting lately, but even then, I don't think I have a chance of wielding the gun like Lionheart can. I actually think I made my chances even worse by adding the gear into the mix. If it was more assault rifle sized, I would have a really good chance because I'm a pretty good shot in Fortnite. But as it stands, I think I'm done for either way. But I can see a reality where I get a lucky shot off, so maybe close loss. And now for another snake thing. But it can fly. Can we please just give me wings? Phaedrus doesn't have too much in her wiki, unfortunately, but based on previous fights, I think we could determine the outcome. She's a lot like Fangzor in terms of body shape, being long and stuff. And I've established that I'm not afraid of snake-like things, even if they have their dicks out. But there's a few key differences that change a lot. Phaedrus isn't an actual snake. She's based off a Chinese dragon. And we know from experience that dragons beat my ass any day of the week. I still think that being a long spaghetti-shaped monster isn't that hard. You just gotta tie them in a knot and you win. But dragons are dangerous. Dragons that fly are even more dangerous. Not to mention that she's strategic and smart. Why are dragons always smart? I can think of pretty elaborate plans before a fight, but I suck at thinking on the spot. If I get a good grip on Phaedrus, I can play jump rope with her body, but that's gonna be hard to do. So probably another close loss. And for the second to last Bakugan, we have Pharaoh who could fly, god damn it. Why haven't we evolved to fly already? This is pathetic. Well, whatever. I survived a feline earlier, I can do it again. Granted, the other one couldn't fly, nor was it Arliss, which is supposed to be like the strongest faction, and it wasn't stupidly good at fighting, and okay, fine, I lose, alright? Maybe I got a little cocky because I felt like I could beat a Viewbakon, but I'm not beating a damn Sphinx. That was a bit of a reality check with those last three. And I know I can't beat a lot of the Bakugan here, but it's still fun to imagine how I could. But this last Bakugan, I know for sure I can kick the shit out of into next Sunday. Kubo. Hitting on Kubo with a dead meme, I get it, but if any Bakugan deserves to get punched in the mouth, it's Kubo. I don't care if he can get really big. I don't care if he's secretly strong underneath his normal small size. He's getting his teeth kicked in. The primal rage that will take over my being will be enough to kill him. Easy win, no matter what. I don't care. It's my list. You don't like it? What are you, a Kubo apologist? Weirdos. That's the end of the list. I hope you enjoyed and had a few laughs, or even some satisfaction knowing I died to a lot of Bakugan. These videos are fun to make, but do take a lot more effort than a regular review, so if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more. To end this video, let's end it with Kubo's tombstone, even if he doesn't deserve one.